welcome to everybody. Whether you be on the podcast, whether you join us on TikTok, shalom to everybody. Welcome, welcome, welcome. Thanks for being on with us and taking time out of your busy schedule. We're going to get our quick live in and then jump off so we can get ready for our marriage class. Shalom, Sister Shante. How are you doing? Shalom, Mr. Nice. How you doing? Prayerfully, everybody's doing all right. Hello, shalom, Brother Benjamin. Peace to everybody. Aquaba. At the same. I'm thankful for each and every person on here. Hello, Big Brother Thomas. Shalom to you. Thank you for the love, Sister Tam. Appreciate it. To everybody who's on. I think we might have Beverly on, if I'm not mistaken, on the podcast. I can't remember. I believe that's BB Butter. If not, I apologize. Try to remember all the names that pop up on these places. Hello, Tammy. How are you doing? We are going to get right into this. May the words of my mouth and the meditation of my heart be acceptable in Yahweh's sight. He is our strength and our Redeemer. And it's in His name, which is His authority, that we pray, praise, proclaim, project, and protect this message. Amen. Giving all praises to the Most High, Yahweh Elohim. Giving all praises to Him for my wife, the Honorable Maya, Minister Maya, who lives a life that's able to be honored. You can check her out on Facebook, TikTok, and her website at Bloom and Flourish, not A-N-D, but the letter N, Bloom and Flourish. We're thankful and grateful to everybody for joining us. Thank you for the agreement with prayer. And we're going to get ready to jump into this topic on this rising. We are going to talk about something that some of you may know. And thank you again for the likes and the gifts and the sharing of this and broadcast and all that stuff. We appreciate all of you. Shalom, Sister Tashima. Hello, Wanye. How you doing? And we're going to talk specifically about something that you guys have either heard of, or some of you might even been alive to see. A lot of us have seen it on tape, or at least heard about it. And it's something called the Rumble in the Jungle. Yes, we're going to talk a little bit about boxing, but we're going to use it to be able to discuss some of the things that go on in our lives. And the Rumble in the Jungle is an extremely important and historic moment in boxing. It is right after Muhammad Ali came out of basically forced retirement. They would not let him fight because he had taken the stance that he did against the war, when he said no Viet Cong ever called me the N-word. And so, hey, Shalom, Chef, how you doing? And so when that stance came about, he basically was forced out of fighting in boxing. He came back and he fought Joe Frazier. He had 3 fights before he fought Joe Frazier. He had 2 tune-up fights. I forget who the first person was. He beat them pretty well. He kind of was getting his legs under him. Then he fought against, I believe it was Quarry, who he had beat before. And then he fought him again after he came back from the retirement. And then he immediately rushed up to fight Joe Frazier. He immediately goes to fight Joe Frazier, smoking Joe Frazier, one of the best of all time as well, and Joe Frazier defeats him, kind of sort of because Muhammad Ali took him a little too lightly. During the fight, Joe Frazier knocks him down. Joe Frazier actually, I'm not sure if he broke his jaw, but he definitely did damage to his jaw. Whole face was swollen up. And it became this thing where Joe Frazier, for better or worse, kind of was, and Muhammad Ali actually apologized for this later in his life, where Joe Frazier was kind of made out to be the puppet for the white man, through the Nation of Islam. And that was pretty much because a lot of white people just wanted to see Muhammad Ali get knocked out. So, but Muhammad Ali loses to Joe Frazier. Then he ends up fighting some more. And he ends up actually, either the next fight or 2 fights later, fighting Ken Norton, the father of Ken Norton Jr., for those of you who are football fans. And Ken Norton beats him the first time and actually broke his jaw. And his trainer, Angelo Dundee, said he knew that his jaw was broken because he spit out blood his blood, when he was spitting it out, was like a darker color. So you can tell in boxing if somebody gets their jaw broken, because they're not just spitting out regular blood, they're spitting out a whole different color type blood. So he's not looking too good for him. But he comes back, he defeats Ken Norton Jr., and basically ends up kind of talking his way even into fighting Ken Norton, and they set it up. Don King sets it up to where they're going to fight in the jungle, in what we now know as the Rumble, in the jungle. And so they set it up where they're going to go to Africa. They're going to fight. Forgive me, is it? They spoke Lingala wherever they fought. I can't remember the place they fought. It wasn't Kenya. It's the same place. They speak Lingala where Queen Nzuri was at too. I'm forgetting the place, the country. So forgive me right now. But I remember they spoke Lingala, the Congo. And that's where Ali Boumaye comes out, where they literally were such fans of Ali that they were saying, Ali, kill him. Ali Boumaye, kill him. They were fans and everything. And everybody wanted Ali to win, but a lot of people were afraid. They were scared because he had beat Sonny Liston before, who they thought was going to kill him when he was young, and became the youngest heavyweight champion in the world. But he's a much older man now. And, some people don't think he's got it. He still can dance from time to time, but, he's getting up there in age, and Father Time isn't defeated. And eventually Father Time would catch him, especially when he tried to come back one more time, try to become a 4-time heavyweight champion. And Larry Holmes, who had learned from Ali, finally took Ali out. And Larry Holmes actually, was sad about the fact that he beat Ali, because Ali was that much off, right? But this is before, and everybody thought Ali was gonna. A lot of people ask if you don't know about it, if you weren't alive at that time, and even if you were young at that time when they fought, ask people who were alive back then, and even ask some people's parents who were alive back then to see boxing. Ask them how they felt about that fight, because a lot of people who were Ali fans, they were afraid he was going to die. Not just that he was going to get beat. They thought George Foreman was going to kill him. George Foreman had made Joe Frazier look bad. And he had fought, I think didn't he? He fought Joe Frazier before he fought George Foreman again. And he beat Joe Frazier, right, in their second match. And I think that one went the full 15 rounds. Back then they used to do 15 rounds. In Kinshasa, Zaire. Okay, thank you. I was about to say Zaire, but I wasn't sure if that was it. So, yeah. So he had beat Joe Frazier. And everybody's like, okay, well, you beat Joe Frazier, but George Foreman, that's not just like Sonny Liston. That's a different thing. And Ali was telling everybody, hey, he was going to beat him, and he could see his punches coming, and he was saying all this stuff about him and how George Foreman was going to lose. And this George Foreman thought he was going to easily beat Ali. Everybody thought he was going to easily beat Ali. Everybody thought, like, George Foreman was like the Mike Tyson of his day. He was a guy that everybody thought if you get in the ring with him, you have to, you're not going to make it out, and you're not going to make it out the first couple of rounds. And but Muhammad Ali kept telling everybody he was going to beat him. And he started doing this interesting thing. Now, people didn't really know what it was, including his trainers. But during training sessions, Ali started doing this thing that we now affectionately call the rope-a-dope, right? Where the dope is the person that comes to the rope, thinks you're going to beat him, and you tire yourself out by punching yourself out. But this was not a strategy people used, right? This was not something anybody really knew of. And so Muhammad Ali got in a fight with George Foreman. And before the fight, a lot of people wanted him to win. A lot of people were saying Ali Boumaye, but there were a lot of people who were watching that fight that were sad. There were people that were afraid. There were people that thought he was going to die. There were grown men who were crying the night of the fight because they thought Muhammad Ali would not make it out alive. Like that's the level of fear that people had for George Foreman. Now people know George Foreman as this nice man, has a home, built a church on his land, got all these children, faithful to his wife, changed his whole game up. But back then he was basically Mike Tyson. That's what people saw. Like, he was afraid. People still afraid of Mike Tyson, right? But when Mike Tyson was in his youth, when he was out there as they called him the baddest man on the planet, right? But George Foreman would hit him. So here's the thing about Muhammad Ali, and I want to kind of liken this to where we are. Muhammad Ali is somebody who we knew he had the offense. I talked a tiny bit about this rising, but we knew Muhammad Ali had the offense. We knew Muhammad Ali could evade any punches. He didn't block punches, really. He just evaded punches. We had never seen Ali, and we knew he had a chin, because when he made it through Ken Norton and when he made it through Joe Frazier, that was the first time that really Ali had been through fights where he got hit. Besides with the British man that he fought against a few fights before he finally fought Sonny Liston before he retired. But we had never really seen Muhammad Ali had to get hit, right? We never saw him have to get hit. So this fight was something where we were like, if George Foreman hits him, who knows what's going to happen to him, right? There's a guy named Light Skin trying to come in. I don't really know him. I apologize. But nobody really knew. And I don't have time because we do a shorter version of this anyways on the line. But nobody knew what was going to happen. You said that's because Mike is wild. He used to fight in the street. I mean, Mike used to fight in the street and also, and things like that. But, George Foreman was somebody who was amazing too. But Muhammad Ali, he fought Sonny Liston. Sonny Liston had worked for the mafia. Matter of fact, a lot of people believe the mafia killed him. And that's why he was found dead in his house. George Foreman was one of these guys that nobody wanted to mess with. And he was considered to be the scariest dude on the planet as far as we're going to go boxing. You ain't going to beat George Foreman, right? He's going to beat you up. Now, George Foreman nobody knew George Foreman if he had stamina because he hadn't had to fight that long. He beat everybody up. Nobody knew if George Foreman could take a hit, because nobody could hit George Foreman. And George Foreman wasn't really a great boxer. He wasn't going to hit you with this. George Foreman's punches were literally, and Muhammad Ali used to make fun of it, talking about, I can hear his punches coming. Here come another one, And so he's talking about how he was going to dodge him, right? But he didn't dodge George Foreman. Yeah, I understand, but and Mike Tyson had all that. But I'm just trying to get you to understand who George Foreman was. Mike Tyson obviously was the better boxer than George Foreman. That's not my point, though. I want to focus on George Foreman, if I may, just for a little bit, because when we get to George Foreman, everybody thought Muhammad Ali was going to die, right? Except people were saying Ali Boumaier, but even some of the people were like, George Foreman might catch this dude, right? And the fight almost didn't happen because George Foreman got hurt. And so George Foreman was going to walk away from the fight. So Mike Tyson had to talk his way into George Foreman. He had to make it sound like George Foreman was trying to duck him. And so now you have an angry George Foreman who's like, okay, I'm going to knock this dude out and then we're going to go home, because he hated Africa, right? He was not into being Afrocentric at all. He was like, yo, I just want to be at home. I want to be in the States. I want to be this rich dude that's known for knocking people out. Like, let me get out of Africa as soon as possible. So the fight happens. And the thing that nobody thinks that is going to win the fight happens. Muhammad Ali, in the middle of the fight, starts going against the rope. He starts covering up. And he starts hitting George Foreman, right? George Foreman starts hitting him. And George Foreman is hitting him in the body. He's hitting him in the face sometimes, right? And he doesn't, and people don't know what's going to happen. People think Muhammad Ali is going to get killed, right? He's just taking punishment. He's coming back to his corner in between rounds, and his corner saying, you got to move, Ali. You got to do this, you got to do that. And he still goes out, and sometimes he'll punch a little bit just to kind of get things going, but then he goes right back into the rope-a-dope, and he covers up, and he keeps taking punishment, right? And but then he starts talking, which Muhammad Ali does quite often. He starts talking, though, to George Foreman. And he doesn't start saying, you ain't this, you ain't that, you ain't nothing. What he says is, he starts saying, is that all you got, Joe? Joe. He starts saying, is that all you got, George? Like, is that all you got, George? Is that all you got? And George Foreman starts saying to himself, this is what I'm talking about from what George Foreman and Muhammad Ali are talking about. George Foreman starts saying, man, this dude is crazy. But he keeps on hitting him, right? Gets a hit in here and there. He thinks he's doing damage. He's like, man, Muhammad Ali gonna come down. He keeps talking to him. Is that all you got? First round, second round, third round. Is that all you got? Fourth round. Is that all you got? Fifth round. Is that all you got? Now, I can't remember. It's the sixth or the seventh that he finally went in, but he keeps hitting them. And then George Foreman is tired. And if you notice, before George Foreman actually loses, right? If you basically look at what happened, George Foreman swings and he misses and he falls over the rope. He's tired. He's been swinging. He's angry because he's saying, is that all you got? He's trying to knock this dude out. He's trying to knock out this dude that kept saying he was ducking him, that said he couldn't punch. And he was thinking he was going to run, but this guy's not running. And Muhammad Ali's not only not running, but now he's talking to you. Now, Muhammad Ali admits that those punches hurt, right? Like, he was taking a lot, but he wasn't letting them know. He was looking him in the eye. And sometimes as he was punching him in the body, he would hold his head close to him just so he could say in his head, hey, is that all you got? He was letting them know every time, all right, you think that you're doing some damage. I'm letting you do some damage, but I trained my body. See, a lot of people thought that just because he didn't get hit, he didn't train his body, but he trained his body. He trusted the fact that he had not only trained so he could hit faster and just as hard and move faster than everybody else, but he could train that he could take more punishment than everybody else. The same Joe Frazier who knocked him down, right, was the same Joe Frazier that got knocked out early by George Foreman. The same Ken Norton who had knocked him down, and some people would arguably say maybe even beat him in the second fight, was the same Ken Norton that got knocked down. So these same people that could dish out punishment couldn't take punishment that was greater than theirs. Yet Muhammad Ali was able to take punishment that nobody else could take, and look at then in the midst of the punishment, look the punisher in the eye and say, "Is that all you got? You hitting me? Is that all you got? Right? You hitting me? My arms, you would think that they break over your punch. Is that all you got? You sneak in every once in a while, boom, you hit me in the chin. I'm gonna look back at you and pull you back in. Hey, I'm pulling you in. I'm reaching back. Hey, is that all you got? Right? Like I'm literally taking your best punch." And George Foreman admits to saying at one point, he said it to himself. He didn't say it out loud, but to himself, he said, "Yeah, that's all I got." And from that point, he was like, this is different. I'm not used to being in a position where I'm giving everything I've got, and I'm stronger than everybody else. But I've given all that I have, and I've given it with the most because I'm angry. I'm ready to knock this dude out. And this dude is talking to me saying, "Is that all you got?" Right? Thank you, Roy. So once he gets to that position and he gets tired, then all of a sudden, next thing you know, you look at the fight. Muhammad Ali says, "Now I got him." And he starts speeding up, hits him with a bunch of punches, and is even waiting more but George Foreman is spinning around. He's falling out. He's spinning around just waiting for him. He's spinning with him. George Foreman falls down. He goes to his corner. They count him out, right? And George Foreman basically said he didn't even know what happened to him. That's how fast it happened. All he knew was he didn't have any more. He was tired. Next thing he knew, he was getting up, and he asked the trainer what happened. The strongest man, so people thought, on the planet, the baddest man at that time, the Mike Tyson of his era, he basically couldn't, it wasn't that he couldn't give it up, but he found somebody that could look him back in the face with everything that he gave and keep saying, "It's not enough," right? "It's not enough. Keep on hitting me. It's not enough," right? "Keep on being mad. It's not enough," right? "Keep on being the baddest man on the planet. It's not enough. Not tonight." Right? Maybe some other night, but not tonight. I've come here on a mission. I've come here to Africa. I've come here in front of people telling me all this time, Ali Boumaier, when he was running, when he was jogging, you'll see some of this in the movies and stuff. You'll see some of this in old films and stuff. He would go for long jogs and stuff. And one time, people were running with him. They wanted him because he was a hero. He was the person to them that literally had taken on the United States government and won. Remember, the United States had shut it down to where they literally took and stripped him of his championship. They took his livelihood. He was poor, right? Even the Nation of Islam wasn't taking care of him at that time. Like, he was poor. He was broke, right? Busted and disgusted. And they had to wait to the Supreme Court. And the Supreme Court finally said, "Hey, what they did to you was illegal. The United States of America protected him from the United States." And they finally said, "You can come back and fight." And so he finally comes back. And so the world looks at him as different. And during his time, he was speaking. He was doing plays. He was going to other countries and speaking about his belief and speaking about racism and speaking about him being a great person. He had thought that he wasn't even going to come back and fight for a while. He would work out at gyms from time to time, but he didn't even think he was going to be able to come back and fight. And here he is. He came back. He's like, "I'm on a mission. This is a calling. It's not just you I'm fighting. I'm fighting on behalf of people in another continent who have," while he was running, when he took off and went to other places, he would look up and he would see huge murals that people had painted with Ali Boumaier. And he looked at one mural where the mural literally had his hands. It had him raising his fist, or had his fist up, and he was getting ready to fight. And it had planes, American planes. Like, they looked at him as fighting the whole country, right? So he was like, "I came here on behalf of a people, of a diaspora. This is not just something for me. I'm about to knock you out." Tonight, look, it could have been any other place. If it had been in America, maybe, right? You might have caught me in Europe. You might have caught me in Australia. You might have caught me in Asia. You might have caught me in South America, in North America. But this is Africa. You might have caught me in Antarctica. Who knows, right? But this is Africa. And these people have literally looked at me as the hope. I've come here to not just not get knocked out. I'm here to knock you out, and I've come here to do it decisively. And I've come here, because I've come here, I've got a diaspora on my back. So you can do whatever you want, but it's not enough. I'm going to look you in the face and say, what? I'm going to look you in the face and say, is that all you got? And when I say all that is to say this, yeah, you're fighting against something that seems to be way bigger than what you think you can do, but it's not enough, right? It's not enough. Are you willing to look somebody in the face and say, is that all you got? Right? Bills coming up. Is that all you got? Right? Like, don't give up. Don't give up. You made it to the championship round. And yes, everybody said you can't win. Everybody said you can't win. Thanks, babe, for being on. My wife, the Honorable Mind's on. Thanks, babe. I love you. Right? Everybody said you can't win. It's not enough. Everybody said that they're not going. People are being ignorant and not listening to you. It's not enough. You know what I'm saying? Like, is that all you got? People come on the live all morning long. We get 10,000 plus people now on, right? Every day. And 10,000 people. And I'm going to get 100, 200 people that are going to try and come on in there and just say, oh, look at his hair. Oh, look at his outfit. Oh, here comes a black person saying this. Oh, he's a reverse racist. Oh, you believe in the white man's religion, all this stuff. It's not enough. I'm still showing up, right? I've been there, done that, right? Mom passed away, right? And people trying to do stuff. My mom literally is the reason why I went on the journey I went on, because she taught me about studying. She taught me about the word. She told me when I thought I was ugly, I still have dealt with things up until the last couple of years, really the last year, I'll be honest, but the last couple of years where I was always told I didn't look like everybody else. I wasn't handsome. I was too black to fit in this place. I was too white acting to fit in this place. I didn't speak like I was supposed to speak for this place. People thought that I wasn't good enough. Now in the church circles, they don't want you to speak because you're going to speak about the Most High and Yahshua HaMashiach, and you're going to speak on things that the pastor's not speaking on, and therefore you're taboo, all these things. And guess what? Like, when I think about my mom and I represent her, right? Who's the person that you represent? Who is your why? When I think about my father, I was talking about that on our on the podcast when Minister Kevin and I had our conversation back and forth, and talking about how my dad is something that brings my do. I make him proud when I do things. I think about my wife. Y'all hear about how I talk about my wife all the time, right? And how my wife, she's not even close to getting the things that she deserves from what it is that she's put up and had to put up as the breadwinner for a long time. I had to put up with a dude that wasn't prepared to do a lot of things. Had to put up with somebody who was coming out of line, but still had a little bit of lies here and there, right? Like, I have a son who's trying to do what his dad does, right? And looks up to his father. I have all these different people. I have all these family members that are around that are listening to things. I have all these people that are around the world now who are listening to me and things of that nature, right? Even somebody coming on, is this LGBTQ friendly? Like, as if I've said that I'm not LGBTQ family friendly, you know? But people coming on, and you got to recognize it, and coming on with all that stuff, right? That it's not enough. Like, I've come here and I'm about something greater than myself. Why do you get up and do the things that you're doing? What drives you to be able to make sure that no matter what's going on, you're still going to do those things? Because nobody's going to bring anything that's going to cause me to be torn down. It's not enough. I'm going to look at you and I'm going to say, is that all you got? Right? Like, if you coming for me, and look, I'm not trying to speak anything over myself. I believe I'm protected by the Most High. I told y'all I believe I'm living to 150 years old, right? So I'm gonna be around for a while. And so you're gonna have to come and you're gonna have to be willing to deal with a dude that's got an anointing on his life that's supposed to last for another, I'm 39. So you talking about another 111 years. Right? Are you ready to take out 111 years of anointing? I don't think so. So if it's not enough, that's the confidence you got to carry, right? So defensive? Okay, I don't know. It seems like you're ready to be offended. But anyways, you're welcome to be on. Just go ahead and learn of us or whatever. You're welcome, Melissa, to be on. But think about this, right? Like, it's not enough. It's not enough, right? It's not enough. Like, if somebody knows me or not, it's not enough to stop me from what I'm doing. It's not enough to stop me from loving you, right? Right? Like, even if, like, so watch this. I believe in the Bible, but if somebody wants to be LGBTQ plus, I believe in sovereignty. You deal with whatever comes with whatever decisions you want, right? So it's not enough to stop me from loving you or to inviting you or to having you on or to being grateful for you being on. It's not enough. And I'm not just going to focus on that because that's just one little thing, right? And that's not how she meant it or whatever. So let's get off that, right? Like, it's not enough to stop me from being at peace. A lot of people lose their peace. How you losing your peace? What's enough to take you out of your peace? Oh, I'm so frustrated with them, blah, blah. Okay, fine. You angry, sin not. Don't go to sleep on your anger. What's so messed up that it's going to make you go to sleep angry? What's so messed up that's going to have you sleeping on the couch and not next in the same room with your wife or with your husband? What? It's not enough. It's not enough. Hit me with whatever you got. It's not enough, right? What's going to stop me from being myself? What's out there to stop me from loving some me? Like people hated when Terrell Owens said, "I love me some me." I love me some me too. What's out there that's gonna stop me from loving me? You see what I'm saying? I appreciate that, Ransom. Right? Like it's not enough to stop me. There's not enough. Watch that. Like I'm not trying to bring. I haven't even ever brought this up, right? But some of you don't know. We have a lot of people that listen to us with a lot of different things right there, right? And I'm just going to bring this up. I feel led to bring it up. I feel I don't want to bring it up, but I feel like I'm led. I need to bring this up, right? Not this person, but there's people on here that are LGBTQ plus, right? And I'm a pastor, and I've made it clear what our belief is as far as marriage and stuff, right? But check this out. I've still had couples who were LGBTQ plus call me up and be like, hey, can you talk to me about this situation with my child? And guess what? I love them enough that I have to do that for them. It's not enough to stop me because that child needs guidance. And so even if there's certain things I might not be able to touch per se, I can still be like, yo, well, this is a biblical principle. Make sure your child knows this. Make sure that you do this, right? Like there's women that get abortions and they might not like, and I don't agree with abortions, right? However, you got the right to do what you want to do. You're a sovereign. And when you come to me and you say, man, I'm dealing with this depression issues, or this, they did the abortion wrong, blah, guess what? I still love you. It's not enough to stop me from loving you. You see what I'm saying? Like people are going to try to do things to knock you out. People think they're going to do things that are going to kill you, or people are going to be like, you don't agree. Like people are so stuck in, remember we talked about in part 4 of the Sermon on the Mount series, people are so stuck in anger that it puts them in debt to other people. So you can't even receive or even give gifts to the Most High or even give your gift to the world because you're so in debt to being angry with somebody or something, right? Like there's nothing in the world that's enough to be able to take me out of what I'm supposed to be doing. There's nothing, right? And I've been in a position where I used to let things take me out. Oh, I'm angry. I'm too angry. I'm not dealing with this. I'm so depressed. I'm not going to get on for a couple weeks. I mean, years ago, that used to be me. Easy. The numbers aren't there. Why am I putting out so much energy and only 2 people coming on the live every day? Man, that's tiring. After 100 days straight, I can't do this, man. Am I even doing the right thing? But you keep up with it, right? Enough is enough. Like, and you're not enough, right? Like, I'm not trying to say you're not enough. I hope you're getting what I'm saying. Your enemy, the thing coming against you, is not enough, right? You are more than enough. That's where that more than enough saying comes in. You're more than enough. So hit me with everything you got. Satan, hit me with everything you got, right? Government, hit me with everything you got. Job, hit me with everything you got, right? Haters, hit me with everything you got. Family, hit me with everything you got. I mean, you have to think about it, right? It's not enough, right? And like, remember, Ali, he had a diaspora on his back. See, you got to have something better than you. What is your why? Why are you fighting? Who are you fighting for? My wife deserves everything and more that she's going to get. So I'm not doing this just so I can say, oh, well, I'm better than you, blah, blah. No, my wife is depending on this. My son is depending on this, right? If you coming for me, you have to have a passion that's greater than me fighting for my children. You got to have a passion that's greater for me fighting for my wife. You got to have a passion for me greater than what's fighting for my community. You see what I'm saying? And a lot of people don't have a why, or a why that's great enough, a why that's bigger than yourself. What are you doing this for? He didn't win that fight just because he's fighting for himself. He was fighting for a whole diaspora across the whole entire world. People were tuning in to be able to say, if he wins this, then we have credibility. Now, I'm not saying that they should have even necessarily put themselves in that place, but a lot of people are hanging on what you do. Romans 8:19, that the creature is waiting on the manifestations of the sons of the Most High, right? To do what they're supposed to do. They're waiting. The whole world, there are people in the world that will not come out of their situation until they see you come out first. There are people that just finally started giving to this land project and stuff to own land. They're just coming along in there because they see that people are doing it, right? They're now just literally getting to a place where, oh, we're going to be part of this because we see people doing it. Right? People are just now celebrating Hebrew holy days and coming out of some stuff and figuring, oh, there are actually Hebrew holy days. There are actually people that believe what I believe. Let's get together. Let's get up early in the morning, even before the 8 o'clock a.m. sessions. Let's get up at 6:45 a.m. Eastern, no matter where we are in the world. Let's come on here. Let's make sure that we come together. Let's make sure that we are prayed up. Let's make sure that we do all these things, right? Let's do all these things. Why? Because they see somebody else doing it. You got to see, who are you carrying? I ain't worried about nobody else. I ain't worried about nothing. I do me. I'ma just do me. That's the problem. You do you so much that you don't have a why that makes it a point to say that nothing is enough to stop you. He said, I'm spitting that venom. Right. But I just need you to understand, like Ali literally was looking at what the person who said people was going to kill him. And all he was saying, thanks, chef. All he was saying, all that came up to him was what you have is not enough. You came to the wrong dude at the wrong time. Right. You should have met me some other time. Right. He would be defeated later on. But today was not the day. Right. Today is not the day. You know, and show that same spirit later on. You got to understand later on, people didn't catch. I remember because I knew this stuff. I studied Ali when I was a little child. I used to watch all his VHS. Like my father had all the VHS stuff back in the day. So I used to watch all that stuff, right? I was raised on Muhammad Ali. Even though I didn't live when he was doing this thing, I was raised on Muhammad Ali fights. Like I've seen every single one of them. I've seen them multiple times. I've seen them from multiple angles. I've seen multiple people talk about him. I've seen the black Muslim community talk about him. I've seen people that hated him talk about him. I've seen Angelo Dundee talk about him. You know, I've seen all these different people. Right, speaking on him, and here's the deal, and all that stuff. One of the greatest fighting spirits that I saw wasn't even when he fought. He in 1992 comes to the Olympics. Right, this is why one of the reasons when I finally went to Georgia with my wife and we were visiting, and we go back there. You know, we go in that area on a regular basis to around Centennial Park, which is where they had the Olympics in 1992. And we went, and I went down there because I just wanted to stand in the same place that he was standing in. Muhammad Ali, and I know somebody might say, oh, idol worship. No, I wanted to soak up the greatness and just think about something from my childhood that I remembered. This man, with all the stuff going on with him, shaking, Parkinson's, not able to, could barely do anything. They run the torch and they take it from, all around the world basically, or like wherever they're going. They start in certain places. They take it all the way to where it's going to hit, where they're going to light the torch. And so they ran it. And who's the person that they light it to? Nobody knew it was going to happen. Muhammad Ali shows up and he's holding the torch and he gets it and it's lit and he's holding it. And he's holding it with both hands and he's shaking, but he's holding it. And everybody's like, oh man, everybody's saying, I remember as a child, I'm standing up, jumping, and I'm crying. Like this dude's still holding the diaspora on his back, right? And all of a sudden, he's Ali, so you got to showboat a little bit. He takes the torch, he takes a hand off, and he starts putting his hand out, like give it to me. But his hand's shaking, but he's letting everybody know, like, give it up. And he almost burns himself. I don't know how many people even remember this. I remember as a child just being like, please. I started praying, like, please let this man just, don't let him hurt himself. Let him light the torch. And he lit it. And I remember like it was just yesterday. I remember the television I was watching. My father had one of them old school televisions where you had the red, yellow, and green light on the back of it and it projected onto the screen. It's like a 55-inch screen. I remember being excited. You can probably hear my voice, the little boy coming out of me, right? Like, and I was so proud, right? The man still holding the diaspora on his back. And they gave him, I remember the NBA, the Dream Team. That was no. That's not 92. That had to be 96. 92 was the Dream Team, right? So it had to be like 96 because the Dream Team was Barcelona, right? So 96, it had to be one of those. I think it was 96. I think I'm off, 1996. And the Dream Team 2 won the championship, or won the Olympics, won the gold medal for us. And when they won the gold medal for the United States of America, what they did was he showed up. And I remember he showed up and he had a conversation with him, and they actually gave him, before one of the games, I think, they gave him a gold medal. Now, the reason why they gave him a gold medal, right? The reason they gave him a gold medal was specifically because he had came back from the Olympics. He won the gold. And when he came back to Kentucky, I believe. Was it Kentucky? I believe it was Kentucky. He came back home and he's like, surely I won this gold medal. I'm going to go back. I'm going to go out and I'm going to celebrate. And they're going to let me eat, because black men can't eat, on white establishments at that time. So he's like, surely they'll let me go eat. I'm going to go eat at this place and everything's going to be fine. And because I won the gold medal, of course they'll let me go eat. And they wouldn't let him go eat. And they treated him the same way. And when he saw this happen, he threw his medal into the water. Right? He threw his medal all the way into the water. Right? And he got rid of it. He discarded it. And so he lost it. So they gave him another medal back. So even him showing back up, it had showed that he had fought and won. Like I'm telling you, like Muhammad Ali gets now his life wasn't perfect. The way he treated women wasn't perfect. The way he treated some of his opponents wasn't perfect, right? But he lived in his calling, and he's not perfect, but neither are you, right? Neither am I. And so him doing that, I remember just being like amazed and proud, knowing his lifestyle, knowing what he had done. He was somebody that at that point. So 92, so it would have been 96. So at that point, you're talking about a 14, well, summer, so 13 and a half year old Kofi watching this guy and being like, look at him still living in purpose, just his presence, right? He's fighting for the diaspora still. Just his presence showing up is something that this little boy who at that time, I'll be honest, probably idolized him. Not now, but probably at that time idolized him and was like, yo, like he came through again. You know what I'm saying? And just his presence and him speaking up for people, and him speaking up for the diaspora, him being willing to be ostracized, and him living in a country that hated him, and him being willing to fight for Africa, literally fight in Africa for Africa, and all these different things, right? He lived that. And so he looked at it, even that thing, he said, you will not break me. You will not outwill me. You will not outwork me. That's even the last chapter of the 21 Days of Motivation that we wrote, right? Like, you will not outwork me. I've worked too hard for this. I put too much effort and energy into this, right? I put too much purpose in this. There's no way in the world. Like, I came here on a mission, and I've got my family. I've got my wife. I've got my family. I've got my community. I've got the diaspora. I've got the Most High, right? In our case, right? And including how he thought about it too. I've got the Most High Elohim with me. It's not enough. So I come here today to just remind you, you look that thing that you're dealing with in the mirror, right? You look yourself in the mirror. Sometimes it's you breaking you down. It's you being depressed over stuff because you don't think of yourself highly enough. It's you sometimes self-condemning, right? Self-condemnation. It's you stepping outside of your purpose and outside the will of the Most High. It's you sometimes. And sometimes you got to look at yourself and say, look, you're not enough, right? Family might not have this together, but I set the tone. Right? I'm in control over here because I've got the kingdom in me. And so if the King of Kings is in me, then it's more than the whole system or the whole world against me. So I'm looking at you. I'm looking at you right now. And I'm telling you that whatever that thing is against you. If you're listening to this later on in the podcast, right? I'm telling you, whatever that thing that's against you, it's not enough. It's not enough. Why are you fighting this? Who are you fighting this for? What is this about? And make it about something bigger than yourself. And when you have something that you're willing to die for, then there's nobody that will allow you to live on your knees. There's no thing that you will allow to let you live on your knees. You won't even allow yourself to live on your knees. You'll die on your feet before you live on your knees. And hey, if you're going to kill me and my family is depending on me, that means that I still got to make it 111 years, right? So you got to come with it. You got to bring it. The diaspora is depending on this. We got land to purchase. What are you talking about? You gonna come against me? Thanks, babe. I appreciate that. You gonna come against me? You coming against me? You coming against something bigger than me. You better be ready. You better give everything you got. Look at that thing that's trying to come against you. That's what you need to make sure you tell it. And you got to believe it. You got to have faith in it. It's not enough. And like I said, everybody knew he could fight. Everybody knew he could dodge. That's not how he won. Some things that you fight, you better prepare your body to take hits. Are you prepared to take the blows? Are you prepared to be talked about? Are you prepared to have people say that you ain't this and you ain't that? Are you prepared? Are you prepared for it? Right? That's why in our Sermon on the Mount, part 1, our Sermon on the Mount series, is not mine, right? But the Sermon on the Mount series, what Yashua did, right? Matthew chapter 5, verses 10 through 12. Blessed are you when they persecute you and they revile you and they say all manner of evil against you for Yahshua's sake, right? When they say all those things and do everything, rejoice and be exceeding glad, because they did the same thing to the prophets that came before you. They trying to fight against eternity with a little thing stuck in time. You ain't beating me. You ain't beating me because I'm dealing with eternity. I'm dealing with stuff that's going to last generations. I'm dealing with stuff that's going to take my family and take them out of a position that I was in and that my wife was in, and my children should never have to experience that. I wasn't given a house. My children are going to have houses. Right? I'm dealing with something greater than myself. I'm dealing with something greater than any enemy that can come against me. What I have is greater. And I've trained myself now to grab whatever that thing is behind the neck and look at it and say, hit me, keep hitting me. Is that all you got? I want you to ask that thing that you're going against today. Is that all you got? Because if you lasting for eternity and they're giving you body blows that only last for time, I'm reminded of something. I'm going to get out off here. I got to take my leave, get ready for our class, for marriage class coming up on Zoom. I'm reminded of something my son and I kind of every once in a while play with each other, right? And we'll play fight, right? And, fathers and sons do that from time to time. We'll play fight, right? And so, he'll hit me. I'll be like, oh, didn't hurt. And I'll hit him. Oh, it didn't hurt. And we'll get harder and harder, right? And before in the game, I won't hit him too hard, but I'll hit him hard enough to let him know, like, you ain't ready to go without how hard dad's ready to go. You still young, you still little, right? You shouldn't be ready to go, right? But I want to remind him, right? But and he'll start going, so he'll try and get tough, and so I'll hit him in a softer spot in his body, and I'll, kind of hit him, and then, and it won't be with fists closed. Normally it'll be kind of light or something, but I'm letting him know. Right, yeah, my wife said it don't hurts. That's what he said. He doesn't say it doesn't hurt. He'll say it don't hurts. It don't hurts. Right? But after a while he's like, okay. Right? So, you know what I'm saying? So at the end of the day, it's like it's a reminder, like, but I'm letting him know, like, it doesn't hurt. Now that's obviously play. But what I'm trying to tell you is that you need to be able to take stuff from somebody on a regular basis. Even like when I train, I haven't done it in a while, and I'm starting to get back a little bit in the kung fu and stuff, and the risings and stuff, and getting my stuff together. But when I used to hit the tree, right? And I used to barely hit the tree, but then I started realizing I can hit the tree hard. And I hit the tree hard, and then every once in a while, now I never got to a place where I was breaking trees or anything, but I would hit it and the bark would come off. And it hurt a little bit, but I'd be like, oh, well, I'm not really bleeding or anything, right? Why? Because I had trained myself to take, not only to dish it out, but I trained myself that when I came back in, it didn't hurt. I could dish it out and I could take it. Train yourself not just to dish it out. Train yourself to take it. And a lot of us don't tell us how much we're going to have to take. But if you're going to get to the level that I know you're called to, be ready to take a lot. But you can. Because if that's all they got, they ain't got enough for you. All right. Love y'all. I'm going to take my leave. I appreciate y'all. My prayer is that you not be hearers of this only, but doers as well. All right. Appreciate you guys. Love you. Love you, babe. Love you so much. Love you, Solomon, if you're watching as well. Much love to everybody. Thank you for the likes. Thank you for the shares. Thank you for the being part of the community. I don't call it following. We call it being part of the community. We appreciate you so much. And we look forward to having you all with us again. So until the next time I have a chance to be before you, please remember, as always, King, Queen, that you are loved, you are necessary, you are majestic, you are fearfully, wonderfully made, and you, which is all of us together, will be the reason this world changes for the better, bare minimum. Will be the reason why people who are in the system no longer have to be of it. Shalom. It's not enough. It don't hurts. It doesn't hurt. If that's all they got, it ain't enough. This is our year of pursuit. Hashtag finish strong in it. Because if that's all they got, you're going to finish stronger than what you thought. Peace.